The show is almost ready to go. You have mine. Yeah, baby. Here we go. The Canadian Bro Show, ladies and gentlemen. All things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy. Welcome to the Canadian Bro Show. All things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny. Episode 24. Believe it or not. Nanu.
Holy moly.
To my partner in crime, my old friend, Mr. John Leister, the
Hello, everybody.
talented writer, the phenomenal human being, and a great friend.
All true.
Yeah, man. And we're both filming from Vancouver. For those who've been watching the show, you notice my studio is a little bit different than the studio that I have in Kelowna. This is a 25 square foot small pocket in our lovely condo in the downtown core. I'm only a couple of blocks away from Johnny. I had to do it from the studio because of the setup and the production, because, we're high end, as everyone knows. And Johnny's just a couple blocks away. And how you doing, bro? What's happening?
I'm good. I uploaded 2 more Lee Hacklin mysteries today, and
Wow.
one is called Mom Cruise. Lee goes on a cruise to Alaska with his mom, and it's always fun to write those two characters together because she disapproves of his lifestyle choice. And the other one is called The Dating Game of Death, which is based on a game show you may remember from the 1970s called The Dating Game.
Oh, of course.
Like,
I
it
love
was,
that game. I used to watch it all the time. It was great.
it was fun.
That and the Gong Show were my
Oh,
guilty
yeah.
pleasures
They
back
were
then.
both produced by Chuck Barris, who's
Yeah,
very
well,
famous.
that's why I brought it up. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
oh,
Yeah.
you
I
were the
mean,
compulsive hand clapping.
dude, I mean, I
I
can bring, if you want, I can bring the hand clapping up.
think it's just he did when he woke up in the morning. He clapped his hands together. There we go. I can.
I'm Johnny. I'm gonna press this often for you, bro. Okay.
Well, for both of us and our
Yeah,
listeners and our
of,
viewers,
of course, of course.
whom we love.
Yeah, no doubt. So, episode 24, everyone, thank you for joining us.
Thank
For those that have had the patience to stay with us and those that are new, we really appreciate it. It's really the best opportunity if you want to enjoy this show and this content for free at YouTube is subscribe. That would be awesome. We have 28 subscriptions. We're very proud of that. We only have about 472 to go. So
you.
everyone counts. Hey, Johnny.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it
Right? Right.
wasn't. No, it took longer than that, and it lasted a heck of a lot longer than it was built. But episode 24, because it's a Canadian Bro Show, Johnny and I like to keep it real. Johnny's not only wearing a Canadian toque, he's wearing a Canadian shirt, he's wearing a Canadian thong, Canadian socks,
Canadian joke.
um, and anything else that I haven't mentioned. And today we're going to be talking about something that's very Johnny and I. We love films, of course, and we really love Canada. And we thought we'd talk about the best Canadian actors, our favorite Canadian actors. It's a combination of both for me, Johnny. I don't know about your research. I would say, based on statistics and Wikipedia rankings, and I'll explain that later. Of some of the research that I use, as well as my own, my own brain, of course. On occasion, it's used and needed. It's a necessity. And we're going to have some fun with what
Concrete.
Wikipedia and the stats say. And then we're also going to talk about our favorites. And we're going to talk about old school Canadian actors and new school Canadian actors to appease all genres, all age groups, all, all folks that are actually listening and care about what we're trying to share with you today. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome. Is there anything you'd like to share with our viewers regarding what's been happening with you, Paul Bale, over the last week, since last we met?
Well, sure. Just get a quick heads up. I don't want to bore people to death. Of course, we're trying to do a show, but I flew in from Kelowna and I had a wonderful family meet and Christmas holidays and the festivities thus far. It was fantastic. It was the best one I've had in quite a few years, and it was really nice. I'm seeing a lot of old friends. I'm seeing you. I'm trying to see everyone I can in Vancouver. I'm back to Kelowna. I'm back to refereeing with the Kelowna Basketball Officials Association, and paid professional referee as well,
Wow,
adding that
that's
to
so
my
cool.
bag of tricks.
There you
And I
go.
really enjoy it. I love the kids. I love the energy,
Mm.
and it's a very interesting perspective being a hoop junkie for 55 years, and all of a sudden I'm refereeing. And I have to admit, when I was a player, I was not exactly, I was kind of a critic of referees.
Imagine.
But
It's
yeah,
a tough
yeah,
job.
it is.
Having to snap
It
decisions all
is.
the time. Paul is one of the very few people in the world I feel who is absolutely aligned. He's in sync with his mind's eye version of himself, and I think that is extremely remarkable. For real, bro. For real.
Wow. I mean, when it comes from Johnny with his eloquence and his great writing, he could make Moroccan sand taste good. That's how special that dude is. But that's very kind of you, Johnny. Thank you.
Special
It's
special needs.
didn't expect that
Special
at all.
needs.
But I'll just
From the heart.
just keep it coming, bro. Just keep it
Yep,
coming.
of course.
Anyways, so listen, we're doing our favorite Canadian actors. I'm really looking forward to it,
Mm.
and I'm gonna. I think you started first last time, or I did. I can't remember. Do you remember?
Yeah, you go first.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll do a little brushing up while you're sharing your first
Oh
favorite
God.
Canadian actor, eh? I'm psyched.
Yeah, I mean, and the interesting thing about this is that with the research I mentioned in the prelim, I'm just going to turn the lights up a little bit in my studio here. Um, the majority of this, the meat of my documentation and my preparation, my script, because I do one for every show. I just like to be able to follow a certain time frame and to follow a certain flow, and then I want to allow John to. He'll probably say a lot of the people that I want to say, but I always have a backup just in case because we're very much in tune, and he is. We're both huge film buffs,
Mm.
and I was surprised, Johnny, at this genre, this suggestion which you kindly brought up, is how many great Canadian actors there
Oh,
are.
a plethora, one might say.
Wow, I
Tons and
was just like,
right?
and I used to be an actor. You and I both dabbled in the film
Mm.
industry and extra industry and so on. And I've got some credits to my name, but and I know and. So what I'm going to do with before I start is I'm going to go with like I went with here. I'll just explain this. This page contains a list of the greatest actors. The Pantheon data set contains 13,578 actors, 440 of
Goodness.
which were born in Canada. This
Wow.
makes Canada the birth of the fourth most number of actors behind the United Kingdom and Bollywood in India.
Oh, Bollywood's number one?
Yeah, buddy.
Is that
This
right?
yeah,
That's
and
pretty
wait, there's
quick.
this is even better. So that was the initial. The following people are considered by Pantheon to be, and this is the Pantheon's a search I got from the website. It's a Wikipedia thing, or someone that's associated with them, and they're excellent. So we're just sharing the information. To be the top 10 most legendary actors of all time. Canadian actors, that is. The list of famous Canadian actors is sorted by what they call the HPI, Historical Popularity Index,
Wow.
a metric that aggregates information on a biography online popularity. Visit the rankings page to view the entire list of Canadian actors. The
Mm.
number one actor.
Jeez, Paul, gave me a heart attack just now. Where's my nitro?
Right? The number one actor, a Canadian actor, his biography has been translated to a remarkable 109 different languages in Wikipedia. It represents the best Canadian actor of all time, and his name is Jim Carrey.
Oh, he's on my list. Yep.
Jim Carrey. James Eugene Carey, born January 17th, 1962, is a Canadian American actor and popular comedian known for his energetic slapstick
Mm.
performances. After spending the 1980s honing the comedy act and playing supporting roles in film, Carey gained recognition when he was cast in the American Expect comedy television series In Living Color, probably the best work I've ever seen any actor do. And Jamie Foxx is on that show as well. Did you see In Living Color?
I do remember that show. He was like a fireman. like a
Oh
Tracy
God, he
Charming
was one
sort
of
of
his
character?
characters. It
Yeah,
was a burnt fireman. It was
yeah,
incredible. He was
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah.
But between him and Jamie Foxx, it was incredible. Those go. He broke out of the film after starring in a string of office hits: Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, all in 1994 when he blew up.
Right.
And then
Dumb
when he
and
blew
Dumber
up,
is one of the funniest movies ever made.
oh
That
my
movie
God,
cracks me up every time. Yeah,
which one?
Dumb and Dumber. I love that movie.
Oh
I'm
my
not a big
God.
fan of that genre, but that's a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really good. And then, of course, he blew up. And then Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, Batman Forever, both
Mm.
95. The success of these five films, Carey was the first actor to be paid $20 million upfront salary for
Wow.
performing his next film, which was The Cable Guy.
Good gig.
Yeah. Oh, and
Yeah.
guess what? He's back acting now because they asked why. And he goes, I'm broke.
No way.
I swear to
Wow.
God. I
I
swear to
believe
God.
it. He's probably been married a few times.
Oh, oh, and
Sounds
that's
real.
why he's broke? Is that what you're
Maybe
saying?
that could be part of it. I don't
Ooh.
know. I'm just throwing darts at a dartboard.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's on my list. One of my all-time favorite movies is The Truman Show, directed by one of our favorite directors, Peter Weir.
Yeah.
And I watched that. I probably watch that scene once a week on YouTube, where he gets
Yeah.
out of his car and he finally realizes that his whole life is a TV show. To
Oh
me,
my
that's just
God.
one of the most iconic and exciting film sequences
Yeah.
of all time, with the music, and he's looking around and he's like,
Yeah.
"What is going?" Oh, it's just that I love that those moments of discovery, where like what Keanu Reeves realizes in The Matrix. Another Canadian actor, by the way, who's also on my list.
Me too.
Right on. Okay, I'm going to go with a pretty obvious choice, Michael J. Fox, who was born in Edmonton but grew up in Burnaby, which
Yep.
for our listeners who are not Canadian, Burnaby is a city outside of Vancouver. Incredibly prolific actor. And when I was taking acting classes back in the day, I actually did a monologue of his from Family Ties. And it was the episode where he goes to see where Alex Keaton. Family Ties was a great show. Alex Keaton was a conservative teenager, very right wing, who grows up in a very left wing household, which is a great concept. I'm surprised I haven't brought that back.
Right.
And I actually did a monologue for a showcase at the Metro Theater in South Vancouver, and it was the episode where his best friend was killed in a car
And
accident.
Southwest Marine Drive in Marpole.
That's right. I did a few of those back in the days when I was
Yep.
taking acting with Peter Breck.
Yep.
So that's my first choice, Michael J. Fox. Obviously, he's unfortunately he still has his Parkinson's disease. I guess that's not going anywhere. I guess that's a lifetime illness that he's learned to live with. But he's a great spokesman. He's
Yeah.
still putting himself out there, and like Christopher Reeve, a great role model. And it puts our own personal lives in perspective. Like, our problems are not such a big deal when you look at what other people are going through, particularly Michael J. Fox. And he actually shot Family Ties and Back to the Future at the same time. He was shooting Family Ties during the day. If you ever watch Back to the Future again, most of it takes place at night, because he actually, unbelievable. Like, I wonder if that's why he got the disease. Just his immunity system must have been so weakened from working so much, that I think that when we do that, when we overwork ourselves, our bodies just tend to become more susceptible to disease. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but that's just a theory. So that's my
Yeah.
first choice, Michael J. Fox.
Well, it's a really good choice. He's on my
Yeah.
list too, and of course,
Mm.
he's a legend here. And he grew up in Burnaby. I've owned property in Burnaby. My brokerage, Orca Realty, one of their offices is located in Brentwood Park, on the SkyTrain station at Gilmore. They're there, so shout out to Orca Realty. I hope everybody at Orca Realty had a great Christmas and happy holidays, and even a better New Year. 2025 is hopefully going to be better than 2024. We'll see,
Well, flying
but
cars.
that's a good choice. But I'm going to go back to one of my favorite Canadian actors when I was a kid, who really I didn't know because he was so prolific. I'd see his face everywhere, but he really kind of blew up late in his career.
Mm.
And I'm going to go with the second most famous actor by the list, the Pantheon data I was talking about, based on this metric that they're using, which is the HPI, the Historical Popularity Index, which is really quite kind of cool, actually. And it gives credibility to what we're actually trying to do here. Because
Could you be
I'm
a little
sure
more
we're,
technical, Paul?
you know what? like I say, I'm a late bloomer. I'm always trying to learn new stuff. And
Oh, you're learning me.
I love information. I was always trying to surprise you
You're a
and surprise
sponge.
the guest. I am. I can't help myself. And some are just bigger sponges than others. And I'm just like, my head is huge, and there's a lot of room to film. Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, on the list.
is this Anya? I knew you would
Yeah.
have him in
So
there
there's
for
going to be
sure.
a
With
lot of
the
overlap, I feel.
Oh, of course, absolutely. That's why I'm prepared.
I have a couple surprises, though, I
All
think.
right, cool. Me too. Me too. I got more than a couple. I always do. His biography, being second, has been translated into 71 different languages in Wikipedia, which is really impressive. Jim Carrey's at 109, so it's going to drop off quickly as we go through the list. But they're all super popular dudes.
That's a
Uh,
legacy.
Leslie William Nielsen was born in 1926. Unfortunately, he passed in 2010. Wow, it wasn't that long ago.
Mm.
His career spanning 60 years. He appeared in more than 100 films, 150 television programs, portraying more than 220 characters. He was born in Regina, Saskatchewan, true Canadian.
Mm.
He enlisted in, of course, after high school in the Canadian Mounted Air Force and served until the end of World War II. So he
Thank you,
serviced
Leslie.
our country. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Upon his discharge, he worked as a disc jockey, porn star. I'm joking about the porn star. Before
You
receiving
would
this,
probably think that's funny, though. He probably has
yeah.
a sense of humor.
Oh, he
He's
would, he
laughing
would,
in
he
heaven right
would,
now
he would break up laughing and then fart at the end of the laugh,
and
for
think his nose
sure.
needed.
No, he had a flatulence issue. He carried around a flatulence machine with him,
Wow, this is an eye
and
opener.
no, he would do interviews and he'd just fart, and it was just he'd break up laughing, and people in the studio would break up laughing. It was just he was a funny guy, man. I love him. And he received a scholarship to study theater at the neighborhood playhouse, and he made his acting debut in 1950, appearing in 46 live television programs. So he was rather prolific before he
Mm.
became successful. But he was successful before he became really successful
Yeah.
based on how he started, right? And then he went into like supporting roles in dramas and westerns and romance, with the studio, in 1950s to the 70s. And he had notable performances, early ones at Forbidden Planet. Do you remember Forbidden
Oh,
Planet?
are you kidding me? I watched that movie that movie was the progenitor of Star Trek. That was one of the
Yeah.
that's basically like the very first Star Trek is Forbidden
Geez,
Planet.
I
I
wonder
watched the
why.
movie.
I
I wish
wonder
I'd
why
seen
I
it on
brought
big
that up,
screen.
just to get
Yeah.
Johnny
Well,
triggered.
could be.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, with the
oh,
giant electricity monster. Oh, that
oh.
movie is amazing. So much fun.
Star Trek. This is not the
There's
Cayman
more to
Islands.
come. There's more
No,
to
this
come.
is this is Bermuda. Bermuda. Oh my God.
Wow.
And then
Got
and
it.
then he did the Poseidon Adventure, of course, which
Oh, classic.
fantastic
Yeah.
early '70s movie, right?
Mm.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
And of course, he gained later recognition, enduring recognition, where people liked him for his deadpan comedy roles.
Mm.
And in the '80s and '90s, after being cast as Zucker, Abrahams and Zucker comedy
Mm.
films Airplane, and
Mm.
that really just blew him up on the international map.
Yeah.
And he specialized in characters portraying completely oblivious to and complicit in their absurd
That's an understatement.
surroundings.
Very deadpan.
Oh, according to film critic Roger Ebert, his performance in Airplane marked a turning point when he made him the Olivier of spoofs.
Yeah,
That's
for
pretty.
sure.
That's pretty grandiose.
Remember a Police Squad in color.
The Naked Gun
Yeah.
series. I
Oh, great.
mean,
Yeah.
anyways, I love the guy. I miss him. His last interview, he brought his fart machine out and he farted like 5 times. It was I don't know what it is with toilet humor.
Also, nobody had to open a window. He
I'm
didn't
telling you, if you go to
actually fart.
Instagram right now,
Right.
every single reel on Instagram is either a dog farting, a child farting, a grandfather farting, a
Wow.
woman farting, animals fart. It's like, what's going on? Flatulence is taking over humor.
Well, flatulence is a major aspect of my literary works. So I guess it's a universal thing.
I
I was
love
going
it.
to make a disparaging remark until I came to that realization. Yeah,
Oh,
Leslie Nielsen was the best, and it's too
yeah,
bad
he
he's no
was.
longer with us. But he lived a
Yeah,
life, didn't he?
yeah, he was great. I loved him.
Okay. Well, speaking of Star Trek, how's this for a segue? Another
Oh
very
my God, I know where you're going.
Will Young Shatner, the master of the dramatic pauses between dialogue greetings. Look, I love William Shatner. To me, he is a man who really lives life to its fullest. And
Yeah.
I watched an interview with him one time, and the interviewer asked him, like, you're so, he's so passionate. It's like, he's like, you look at life as a lemon and you're just squeezing every single drop out of it. Like, what motivates you to do that? And he said, and I'll never forget this. He said, it's because I feel the scythe of death scratching my back. all the time. He went to outer space. Like he actually, he actually went where most men will never go before.
Only
And
600 people have.
yeah, and I've read a couple of his biographies or autobiographies, and one is called Star Trek Memories, and it's just one great story after another. When they were filming the original series, he actually used to hide Leonard Nimoy's bicycle. Leonard Nimoy would write Spock with his ears. He would ride his bicycle from the set to the commissary for lunch, and Shatner would hide it. And one time he actually brought like a couple of Rottweilers, and he chained the Rottweilers to Nimoy's bicycle, which apparently Nemo was not very happy with him about
No, of
this.
course not.
Yeah, so you got to read Star Trek Memories if you're even remotely a fan. It's just
I,
one
I
great.
watched the
I love
original series
yeah,
religiously, Johnny, like
yeah.
you did.
One of my very first memories is you talked about your first memory on a previous podcast. One of my first memories is in Toronto watching Star Trek. And it was the one where Kirk changed places with a woman who
Oh
wants to
my
be
God.
Starship captain. And it was a very, wow, like a performance that you could not do in woke 2024. I mean, he was
No,
like,
and guess what
he was
he
just like,
get?
I'm the captain. You have to do what I say.
Oh my
Like
God.
that's how he was acting as his
Oh,
character.
and he really got into it. I think he
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And as a matter of fact, he was interviewed decades later, and someone asked him about it. And he goes, I remember the underwear I was wearing to this day. They were so comfortable. He was just so self-effacing. It was just,
Yeah.
I
Still
love the
around
guy. He was
94.
on, Bill Maher has a bar in his mansion in the basement.
Oh, that's the dream.
And I love Bill Maher. I
Yeah.
watch all the time. And,
Yeah, I used to
and
watch
he,
Politically Incorrect back in the day. I used to watch it.
big time religiously.
And
I
you see
watch.
religion. What is that movie? Religiosity, where
Yeah,
he.
I believe
That's a
so.
great. Just sidebar,
Yeah.
but that's a really great documentary.
So this guy, Shatner doesn't. He's 94 now, 95 probably, 96 even maybe. And he's just still going, and he
Mm.
looked fantastic. His toupee is probably one of the best toupees I've ever seen in my life.
I think he wore a toupee even back in
Oh,
1966.
of course he did. Yeah, it was
Probably.
like Burt Reynolds did. Burt Reynolds did too, right? I mean, they paid a lot of money for those toupees, but what a captivating conversation. Bill Maher was rolling a big fat blunt and drinking tequila, and Shatner's there talking about going up in space, and he's like it was one of the most exceptional moments of my life, and it was one of the saddest moments of my life.
What was sad about it?
He said it to see how big the and expansive the universe is. It made him entirely profoundly sad, more than
Right.
he's ever been.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Still.
good one, Johnny.
You ever see that? And then we'll move forward. But do you ever see that Get a Life sketch on Saturday Night Live, where he's at a sci-fi? It's a Saturday Night Live skit where he's on it caused a big stir at the time because he's at a convention and all the nerds are asking him like these ridiculously like trivial questions about the series. And Shatner, he's playing himself. He's trying to remember, and he's like, "Would you losers get a life? It was a TV show. You look like you're 30 years old. Have you ever kissed a girl?" And I just it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And I'm a huge Star Trek nerd, and I agree with him 100%. You can
Yeah.
love this stuff, but you don't want to let it consume your life, which is what some people do.
No, and apparently the hatred for him with all of the people on Star
From the
Trek.
fans, ironically, who are too sensitive.
No, the his co they he wasn't really well liked for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Maybe he was.
Well, we all have our dark sides.
I don't know. I love him, and he was on my list too. So we're 3 for 3 in our list.
Yeah, there you go.
And we're going to be 4 for 4 in this next one
Mm.
because it's one of my favorite Canadian actors. And most of the first ones are, as a matter of fact, they're all some less more than others. And I've got an honorable mention at the end. I've got Canadian ones that are friends I know and stuff that I've done, and a few little tidbits. But I have to go with Donald Sutherland.
Oh, good choice.
Donald Sutherland is the third most famous Canadian actor, and his biography was translated by Wikipedia in 78 different languages. So he's just behind Leslie Nielsen. Nielsen's been there longer, but I mean, Donald McNichol Sutherland was born in 1935 and passed in June 20th of 2024. We just lost him,
Wow.
but he's got 3 sons that are all
Yeah.
actors that are still survived and survive. And anyways, just an incredible actor. His career spanning 6 decades. He received numerous accolades, including a Primetime Emmy Award, 2 Golden Globe Awards, a BAFTA Award nomination. Considered one of the best actors never nominated for Academy Award. Can you imagine after having a
Wow.
career like that? Um, but he was given an Academy Honorary Award in 2017 because they realized they messed up by neglecting him at some point along the line.
Yeah, that
Sutherland
happens.
was a prominent anti-war activist during the Vietnam War and rose to fame. Where I first saw him in The Dirty Dozen,
Mm,
1967, one of my favorite wartime films. We talked about that when we did the war film episode, right?
right.
And then of course, and we both agree, Johnny, because I never went a day without watching MASH in
Yeah.
1970, and
Oh,
for
the
the
movie.
next 11 years or whatever they were on.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows, man. It was so good. And of course, and then Kelly's Heroes came up
Yeah.
after
Previously.
1970 because of MASH
Right.
and a prelim. But if I read his entire thing of all the movies, you'd be shocked.
Yeah, in the 1970s, he was super hot. Remember, I think we talked about it on another show. We talked about Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's one of my
Oh,
all-time favorite
one of
movies.
my favorites. One of my
Yeah.
favorites. But listen to this.
Best
Clute.
ending.
Clute,
Oh,
Don't Look Now, The Day of the Locust, 1900, Fellini's Casanova, Animal House, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Ordinary People, Max Dugan Returns, A Dry White Season, JFK, 6 Degrees of Separation, Disclosure, Without Limits, Space Cowboys, Italian Job, Pride and Prejudice. I mean, it
what
goes
a
on. And
resume.
I mean, it's incredible.
The
The guy was
man
so,
was not suffering for lack of work.
no, no, and very popular with the ladies and the men,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
I mean that with regards to respect to his acting chops.
I listened to the DVD commentary for Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and the director was saying, I can't remember the director's name. He directed The Right Stuff. He was almost fired because Donald Sutherland wanted to run up a ladder, and when the studio saw this clip, they lost their minds because they said, no, 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 they shouldn't have done that. She said, well, we couldn't. I had to get the camera right in there. The audience has to see that it's him.
Yeah.
And so if you ever listen to the DVD commentaries, that's really good. Yeah, they almost replaced him with another director because Sutherland wanted to do it, not a stuntman.
Yeah. Well, he also wanted to be butt naked and do full frontal, and of course, the censors wouldn't allow it. He
Well,
was
maybe
quite,
that's a good thing.
he was quite proud of
He
his.
must have been John Holmes.
I don't know about that, but anyways,
Okay.
who do you got
That's
next,
an
Johnny?
obscure reference. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to go with Carrie Ann Moss, born in
Ah,
1967.
yes,
I did not know this. She was born in Burnaby, and she
yes.
actually starred in a one-season TV series called, are you ready for this? Matrix. Nick Mancuso played a hitman who is killed, goes to hell, and then is sent back to Earth to do good deeds to atone for his crimes. I love Carrie Ann Moss. I think she's a great actress. I know you're not supposed to say actress in Woke 2024. An incredible athlete and martial artist. And when I was in Australia, I saw The Matrix Resurrections. I think it's a really underrated movie. I
I
think
haven't seen that, Johnny.
it's my favorite one out of since the first one. Let's put it that way.
Really, I got to check that out. When I get back to
Really,
Kelowna,
no,
I'll check it
yeah,
out.
you should. It's it doesn't have the big spectacle of the previous sequels. It's really a very beautiful love story between Keanu Reeves and another Canadian actor.
Well,
You see
you know what
real
happened, right? The two sisters that were directors, sorry to interrupt, but
sure,
they split up and we're on the same page, and one of them took over, and
right.
that was her version.
Yeah.
And
It
I've
really
heard
got dumped on by the critics, but I quite enjoyed it. And I just like seeing those two characters again, and it just has such great chemistry.
that's a great recommendation. I'm going to check it out, Johnny.
Yeah.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
was good. That was really good. She's fantastic. I'm going to go old school before I get into new school.
Mm,
You've already done Michael J. Fox. I'm going to go with probably one of the most when you talk about certain types of acting, as you know, we both studied acting. We both went to Peter Breck.
mm,
I went to a number of Vancouver actors and studied under them. And the method acting, of course, was one way. And then there was, back when Marlon Brando and James Dean and all those guys. And there's all different types. There's
mm.
Shakespearean actors. There's
They're in character 24 hours a day.
pretty much. And there
Yeah.
are actors that are like that, but this particular actor I met in, because when I worked in the Hotel Meridian in 1985 to 1990, it was a five-diamond hotel, which is the Sutton Hotel, I believe, still on Burrard, right close to our favorite watering hole.
Mm,
And I was in Burden and Wire because I was employed there, and I had an opening scene in the movie with Goldie Hawn. The Burden and Wire was Goldie Hawn and Mel Gibson. It was filmed in Vancouver, and I had one of my first big acting roles. I had a speaking part as a server, a waiter, serving Goldie Hawn. And anyways,
I saw the movie in the theater, and when you showed up on screen, believe me, my popcorn wound up on the floor. It's like, oh my God, it's Paul. I'm
it's
nervous,
funny,
huh?
eh? It's funny.
You're great. You're great. You stay the
And
same.
And so this eloquent gentleman, the epitome of an eloquent gentleman. He was larger than life. He was a big man, 6'2", very handsome, dressed meticulously, and he's just when he spoke, it was just like everything just flowed out. It was like he was acting when he spoke. Christopher Plummer.
Oh yeah, he's on my list too. Yeah,
We're 5 for 5, bro.
a legend.
And he's the fourth most famous Canadian actor. His biography and Wikipedia has been translated to 93 languages. Arthur Christopher Orne Plummer, born in 1929 and passed in 2021, had a nice run, was a Canadian actor. His career spanned 7 decades, gaining him recognition for his performances in film, stage, and television. His accolades included Academy Awards, 2 Tony Awards, 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, making the only Canadian recipient of the Triple Crown of Acting. He also received a BAFTA Award, I mean, it just goes on. Just the guy. I mean, he started his career on Broadway.
Hmm.
He started as a Shakespearean actor, and he left us, but his 7 decades, I could go on. You wouldn't believe how many movies. You would love the fact that he was actually in the Return of the Pink Panther.
Okay. I
When he,
love those movies. Peter
one of
Sellers,
our,
Chocolate
yeah,
Show.
exactly,
Mm.
exactly.
I
Uh,
would like a ring, please.
for those that are wondering what Johnny's doing, he's just making a margarita
Exactly.
discreetly because he's in the
Making my way again to Margaritaville.
Margaritaville. He's in
Uh-oh,
Vancouver.
copyright infringement. You gotta
Stop,
edit that out.
stop saying that, Johnny. We're on YouTube, please,
Okay.
for the love of God.
Okay, we don't encourage any
Anyways, Christopher Plummer, for all
yeah.
the young cats out there, they wouldn't know him, but I tell you what, you probably watched him because his 70 years, he was the fourth most popular Canadian actor of all time.
Mm. And of course, getting back to Star Trek just one more time, he played one of the most memorable villains, General Chang, in Star Trek Six: Nemesis.
It's sorry, Johnny, it's Atlantic City. 1,000.
Wow, you must be loaded by now. Yeah,
No,
you remember General Chang? He had the eye patch bolted into his face.
yeah,
Yeah, and what a rich voice. He's just one of those like Patrick Stewart, just one of those voices that you can listen to all day long, no matter
yeah,
what he's talking about. He's just so
yeah,
fun to listen to.
yeah, no
Okay,
doubt.
okay, this one might be a bit of a surprise. I'm going to go with Mark Singer, who was born in Vancouver, of all things.
Ooh,
Remember the Beastmaster? I was a big fan of this guy back in the day.
so
And
was
remember, do
I.
you remember a miniseries called V about the lizard people? They come from another planet. Initially, they're our friends, and
Yes,
it's an occupation, and then gradually it's revealed that they're here to take our water, and then they're kidnapping all the people and putting them in booze and using them for food. And Mark Singer played photojournalist Mike Donovan, very
yeah,
rugged, charismatic, and really underrated actor, I feel. And I
yeah.
remember watching Beastmaster, which is basically Conan the Barbarian meets Dr. Dolittle with the staggeringly beautiful Tanya Roberts. Very easy on the eyes. That's a really fun movie, and spawned a couple of sequels. So I really
I
like Mark Singer. He just seems like a really cool guy. Great martial artist too.
I do too. I think it's because you liked his hair. He had Jan Michael Vincent
He
hair in
did.
the
He
80s.
would he would have made a good Lee Hacklin. I would have
Yeah,
cast him in a heartbeat as Lee, for
absolutely.
sure.
That's why I
Yeah,
brought it up. I'm
yeah,
right. I'm right with you. I enjoyed it too. And I enjoyed the Beastmaster. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really notice the cheese.
mm,
I love cheese. I'd eat it.
yeah, yeah.
The next actor I was going to mention, I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to skip that actor.
Okay, okay,
Because really not the best actor representing this, and I do like good acting.
okay.
And if you're not a great actor and you have other assets, that's a huge bonus. But
Mm.
and a huge B for many others. But I think I'm just going to go to credibility, and I would like to talk about Dan Aykroyd. Is
Oh,
the
okay.
seventh most famous Canadian actor. His biography has been translated to 53 different languages. Daniel Edward Aykroyd was born in 1952 as a Canadian and American actor, comedian, screenwriter, producer, maker of vodka, prolific pot smoker. Aykroyd was a writer and original member of Not Ready for Primetime Players
Mm,
on a cast on the NBC sketch series Saturday Night Live
mm.
at its inception.
Yep, used to watch that show back
Well,
in
it
the
was a
day.
great show. It was
Yeah,
better
you
back
would.
then than it was now. It is now, in my
Oh, they
opinion.
still making that show? Holy moly!
Yeah,
It's
I
had
know.
30
Yeah,
seasons.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
incredible.
Really, but anyways, it's just to understand his departure in 1979. During his tenure on Saturday Night Live, he appeared on a lot of reoccurring sketches, and particular ones featuring the Coneheads
Mm,
and the Blues Brothers.
mm.
And and for the work in the show, he received 5 Primetime Emmy Award nominations, winning the Outstanding Writer. Because people don't realize he wasn't just an actor; he's just a smart dude,
Yeah.
kind of like you, just really brainiac, very talented, and late bloomers. You can
Mm.
still dream big because big dreams
There
can
you go.
happen.
Yep, they sure can.
And after his
And what a-
departure, he went in and did many famous roles, of course. Elwood J. Blues in the Blues Brothers 1980, the Blues Brothers 2000, Ghostbusters 2, of course. He doesn't need to work after that franchise. And Trading Places, Spies Like Us,
Mm.
Dragnet. I mean, people don't realize the guy hasn't done very much because he doesn't need to. He
Yeah.
writes, but if I read it's incredible how
I think he's in
successful
the
this.
most recent Ghostbusters, The Frozen Empire. I think he shows
Well,
up in.
they had to bring him back for that, right?
Yeah. And Bill Murray's in
Yeah,
it too. Harold Ramis
yeah.
passed
So
away, unfortunately.
shout out to the Blues Brothers and Dan Aykroyd. Love them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good choice.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to go with Nathan Fillion. We talked
Wow.
about who was born in Edmonton in
Yes.
1971.
Yes.
He's co-starring in the upcoming Superman movie directed by James Gunn as Guy Gardner, aka Green Lantern. Nathan
Really,
Fillion starred in a very underrated science fiction slash western called Firefly, which we talked about on another podcast, and
our
then
favorite science
yeah,
fiction television series.
and was spun off into a movie
Top
called
10.
Serenity, which kind of wrapped up the storyline. Nathan Fillion,
Serenity was one of my best science fiction films. I've seen it
yeah,
dozens of
so good,
times.
so good, and just a really charismatic and likable, appealing actor. Has kind of a Harrison Ford quality. Good actor. He covers the span, and I like the character of Malcolm Reynolds because he was kind of dark at times and kind of upbeat at times, like a really three-dimensional character. So, and he seems like a really friendly guy too. So Nathan Fillion, yeah, good actor, and
What
Jill
a
States on the list too, who's also
wow.
Canadian.
Yeah.
I actually met her. She actually used to come to the bank where I used to work at as a security guard. Every bit as beautiful in person as on television, and super charming and very down there. They actually called me by my name, which I liked.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, and I really enjoyed his acting,
Yeah,
and that Serenity, top 10 science fiction film of all. I just love it. Top
yeah,
Well, because I
great
have so many,
character.
probably top 30, but it's incredible.
Mm,
The next one I want to talk to is a guy that I didn't know about, and I kind of caught up on late, but his body of work is just so incredible. I'm going to talk about Ryan Gosling for all the
mm.
younger kids and all the gals out there, and the boys that love him too, because very charismatic dude, and he's really been on fire the last decade.
Mm.
He had the Blade Runner rendition, the newer one, instead of Harrison Ford. I thought he did a fantastic job, and of course, it's our favorite director, certainly my favorite director.
I didn't
And
see that movie. Did it measure up to the first one, the Blade Runner 2, the second
it
one?
was the bet. There's nobody could measure up to the first one.
Yeah,
Sorry, that
fair
thing
enough.
is just unbelievable. But honestly, what a great attempt!
Okay,
You
yeah,
know,
stand for
so
it.
I've watched it twice.
Okay.
Um, he is the 10th most famous Canadian actor, which is quite remarkable considering he's only in his 40s, early 40s. His biography has been translated to 79 different languages. I was born in 1980, so he's a young dude. But
Yeah.
both in prominent independent films and major studios, his films have grossed over $2 billion
Wow.
worldwide, which is really quite remarkable. He
Yeah.
is also the accolades are just streaming, including Golden Globe Award, nominations for 3 Academy Awards, two British Film Awards, Primetime Emmy Awards. He started acting at 13 in Disney channels at the all new Mickey Mouse Club. So he's one of those kids that came from that whole Disney thing. And honestly, I think he's one of the best actors of his generation. He was great in The Big Short. I mean, Big Short was in 2015. If you haven't seen that, I brought it up before. Johnny, you got to watch it. It was about the
Okay.
2008 financial collapse.
Okay.
It's called The Big Short. You
Mm.
got to see it. It's
Okay.
incredible. But Blade Runner was done in 2017 at 2000 the Blade Runner 2049 in 2017 I think was really what what broke him out and put him into, the cloud. The guy is just, he doesn't need to do anything right now. The fact
Right.
that he could do Barbie and be Ken,
Yeah, that movie made a killing.
oh
This
my god, and
he did,
he pulled it off.
and he was Ken.
He was, oh, of course,
Okay. Oh, come on.
in pink. I never saw it.
No, me
I
too.
just I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
I just I maybe I should try it, but I just honestly there's so many films I'd rather see that I haven't seen.
I could watch a GI Joe movie, but Barbie, no, not my thing.
No, I always found Barbie and Ken's to be really creepy when I was a kid.
Mm.
I was like, oh my god, what are people doing with this thing? Like,
Let's not go there.
no, I was a kid and I was
You're
like,
probably
wow.
right.
I
Yeah.
was on my bike. I was going to Kids Beach, swimming in the pool, playing basketball.
Mm.
Riding my bike. Anyways,
Okay.
so who's next? Is it me?
Okay. My next choice is Hayden Christensen, who was born
Oh,
in Toronto. And
wow.
I actually met Hayden. I've told you the story a million times, but this might be the first time for the podcast. I was working as a security guard where you live, Paris Place, downtown. This would be around 1998, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I remember the day before, I was watching some local news show, and it was announced that he had been cast as
Thanks,
Anakin
Johnny, for
Skywalker.
telling everyone where I live.
Well, okay, well, it's not like I gave the address and the postal code.
No, but I mean, look, I've sold 26 units in Paris Place over the
There you
years,
go.
so it's not like nobody knows that.
Yeah. So I was watching the news. They announced that a local actor, Hayden Christensen, he was filming a show called Higher Ground in Vancouver at the time,
Yeah.
and it was his name was on announced. And like, oh, you got to be kidding me! It can't be that this guy who's attendant in the building where I work as a security guard. And of course, it was him. And the next day, I was working the afternoon shift, sitting at the concierge desk, and he walked by wearing a Star Wars ball cap. He's kind of wearing it low over his head, and I'm like, Hayden, congratulations! And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of beside myself. Yeah, I guess you would be. Right. So that was an amazing experience.
That's pretty
I
cool.
mean, his acting was not great, but it really wasn't his fault. I don't think any actor could have pulled off some. It's very hard to take when you have an actor say your skin is so soft and not like sand. Sand is coarse. That's very difficult dialogue to pull off. He did the best
Johnny, he was hired for his looks. Come
he
on,
was.
bud.
I think he got the job because he looked like Mark Hamill. I think that was a big part of it.
Well, he was a more handsome version. Mark was very handsome in 1977 and charismatic, beautiful eyes and so on. But Hayden, he got a lot of slack for being crap actor,
Yeah.
and it wasn't really. He got better. I
Yeah.
mean, look how
It was
long
just,
it.
I've heard that he's been very good in other things. It's just the way
Yeah.
the character was written. Just Anakin Skywalker was just not a very likable character. I thought he should have been more like
Well,
Han
just
Solo.
blame it on the screenplay, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, with respect to George Lucas, who I do respect and admire and love,
Of
just
course.
I just feel that Anakin should have been more charismatic and dashing, and then his fall into turning evil would have been much more dramatic. But he was kind of evil from the get go. It was like the writing was on the wall.
He was born evil, bro.
Yeah. So there's no arc
At
to his
least that's what the writer wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah.
portray.
But he was very down to earth, and he moved out of the apartment shortly after that. Of course, I guess he went down to L.A. So
I
that would
saw
be
him.
probably
I saw
everybody.
him at a Mexican bar doing tequila shots with some friends, and went up and congratulated him too. He was friendly,
Yeah,
and he was approachable,
nice guy.
and he was a good looking chap.
Yeah,
In real life, you could see the camera loved him. So I mean,
yeah,
God bless, he did well.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna go with someone that I served in the Hotel Meridian numerous times. And back in the day when they used to allow cigarette smoking in restaurants in 1985 to 1990, and I hated
Well,
it.
those were the days.
Oh my God, it was terrible. And this guy was larger than life. I had no idea. His name was Mr. John Candy.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yes. And John Franklin Candy, born in 1950, October 31st, passed away in 1994, was a Canadian actor and comedian best known for his work in Hollywood films. Candy rose to national prominence in the 70s as a member of our favorite Second City in the SCTV sketch comedy series, which was honestly probably one of the funniest things on TV at that time. And he rose to international fame. And I won't even go through all of it because it's incredible how much he's done. But
Planes,
when I,
Trains, and Automobiles is one of the funniest
oh
movies
my
ever.
God, that pillow
Yeah.
scene where they're snuggling, and I honestly,
Those aren't two
so
pillows. How
that those aren't pillows.
does that happen anyway? You must have been drinking. because
So
I can see that being
so
an act.
oh my God, who knows? Oh no, no,
It
Martin,
might even be possible.
Steve
Yeah.
Martin's teetotal, but Candy liked to drink. But he smoked like a demon. So
Yeah,
when
you
I
mentioned
served
that.
him the first time, he brought 4 packs of cigarettes
Oh gosh, John,
and
John.
put it in on his left hand
Moderation.
side. 4 packs, like the old
Wow.
packs, the old days in the '80s
In
when the
one
packs were
sitting.
huge.
Jeez
And he
Louise.
chained the whole time. And he was
That's a
probably
devil.
400 pounds
That's very
at
sad.
about 6'2".
Yeah.
And you just knew that. But he tipped really well. He gave me a 35% tip or something. I'll never forget
I
it.
think guys like him and Chris Farley, I think they had a death wish. I think they just seem to be on a runaway train towards a short existence.
You know,
Up to them.
Farley was into the blow, right? I don't know what John was doing, but John was a heavy smoker and a big dude. So I mean, I don't think that works. I
Yeah.
don't think it works. You
No,
know,
moderation.
well,
Great actor
moderation
though.
and
Funny guy.
and super funny and really nice, and he tipped well. So I had to mention him.
Yeah, he seems like a guy who has a big heart. Okay, I've got a couple more. This is a local actor named Michael Hogan, who played Colonel Ty on the reimagining, Ron D. Moore's reimagining of Battlestar Galactica in the late 90s and early 2000s. I used to own all the DVDs of the series. Grace Park, who played Boomer on the show, they were regular bank customers. I actually met quite a few local customers working at the Bank of Montreal for a few years as a security guard. And
Right.
Michael Hogan was super friendly. And spoiler warning, it turns out that on the show he's a Cylon. And I asked him, "How do you feel about being a Cylon?" He's like, "Oh, pissed." He didn't like it. I said, "No, I
Yeah.
don't like it either. You know, but he seems like a regular guy." But yeah, super friendly guy, and I saw him quite often. And again, he's like, "John, how you doing?" And it's always nice to get the kind of recognition from someone who's quote unquote in the big time. You know, kind of talking to the
Well,
little guys,
well,
so to speak.
Johnny, you're a professional,
Yeah.
and you're friendly, and you're a kind soul,
Mm.
and you're a man of
I have my
character.
moments.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
have my not so great moments too.
I in 52 years of friendship, I have noticed a couple,
Uh-oh.
but I think I have more.
Moving forward. Yeah,
So
Michael
I'm
Hogan and Grace Park was on the cover of Maxim magazine. So she was and continues to be very easy on the eyes. And again, very friendly. I she was walking out of the bank, she's like, "Oh my God, you're on Battlestar Galactica," and she shook my hand and
yeah.
looked me in the eye and chatted with me for a few minutes, asked me what I thought of the show. You know, I think that some of these actors who are on these shows that are kind of like cult shows, I think they're a little more open. I think sometimes when the shows tend to like super popular, there's a little more of a distance because they've had enough of it. There's sort of a saturation point.
Wow,
So
that's a
that,
good point. But Johnny, Comic Con and all of these things that where they're making money 2, 3, 4 decades later,
yeah,
fans that love it, like super fans like us,
right.
that they'll go everywhere where these guys go. There's a lot of money involved in that, and
Yeah,
also there's a lot of recognition, and there's a lot of narcissists in acting, and you know what? It's okay to be you know adulated from your
sure.
fans,
Yeah,
and people put you on a pedestal. It's kind of nice
yeah.
if you've ever experienced that, and
It's a
the fact
recognition.
that someone recognizes your name is equally as important to somebody that might not normally experience that.
Anybody who wants my autograph, not a problem.
So Johnny, I want to bang off some really quick ones that are all my favorite actors,
Okay.
and then I want to do an honorable mention for a Canadian actor that I grew up with. Actually, I'm going to mention a few of them. So I'm going to bang out a few. So do you have another one you want to say before I do this thing?
I think I'm done. Maybe just give a quick shout out to Keanu Reeves, who was born in 1964
Yeah.
and actually born in Beirut, Lebanon, of all
Yes.
places. But grew up
Yes.
in
But
Toronto.
raised in Toronto. Yeah.
And again, just seems like a super genuine guy. He rides the subway and again, a
Yeah.
big tipper and friendly with the fans. I've seen many
Yeah.
pictures of him, taking pictures with fans on the street. Just a
Yeah.
super open guy. And I have not seen the John Wick movies, but I've seen the Matrix movies many times. And he's just,
Man.
I love the when he's Neo. I love the way he moves. He's just not even just the kicking and the punching. Like when he holds the knives and he poses for a second, he's just got the superhero persona like down to a T when he plays that character. I hope they make another one.
Well, I mean, I've seen he's John. I've seen all four of the John Wicks. I love Keanu Reeves.
He's a great physical actor, is what I'm trying to
I
say.
was just gonna. I was gonna mention. He's one of the guys I was gonna mention in this little segment. One of my favorite Canadian. And by the way, you know what Keanu means in
Uh,
Hawaiian?
I think it means love or
No,
peace.
No, it means what I used to be. Cool breeze.
Oh, you're so cool, Paul. Come on. Oh, cool breeze. Oh, yeah. Actually, I did know that.
Yeah.
I called him Kinu for many years. I think for about 20 years, I referred to him as
Yeah.
Kinu.
Well, you and everybody else, it's all good. What a great human being. What a
Yeah.
great actor. I love the guy. And if I ever met him, I'd walk right up to him and give him a hug and tell him I love him. And he's the type of guy that would hug me back and say, "Well, that's kind of you. Thank you." Because he's just a class. He's got
Yeah.
character. He's just a stand-up guy. He's a special soul. He's a good soul and a bright soul. I love
Mm.
him.
Mhm.
Next one I'm going to talk about is unfortunately a guy that passed from a ketamine overdose in his
Mhm.
own pool. Whether it was accidental or not, I don't know. I
What
have
is
no idea.
ketamine? What is that?
Ketamine is a liquid horse tranquilizer, like a pain serum for horses if they break their ankle or have
Okay.
something bad,
Rings a bell.
and essentially people like to you can buy them at pet pharmacies for pets for horses, and although there is a certain scene, um, what's happening right now in LA with a very very big uh, you know, rapper and a whole bunch of all this darkness that's going on.
Mm.
Ketamine was used by a certain crowd to take you to places where perhaps you don't want to go.
Okay.
And you can cook it from liquid form to powder, and I guess you do the same
Oil.
thing as blow or whatever. I don't know.
Just
I,
add a can of beer for God's sakes, and you'll be
I,
right as
I
rain.
mean, really. But this is up Matthew Perry, unfortunately.
Oh, that
Uh,
broke my heart. That really killed
Yeah,
me. Yeah.
what I mean,
2 years
look,
old. I
everybody
watched,
loved Friends.
yeah,
Everybody.
I watched every episode. It was
Chandler
hilarious.
Bing, I mean, he was just it was such a great series. And I'm not a big fan of all these series, and I know you want to do an episode on it and we will. But
Okay.
I just, but my wife and everybody else I know loved Friends.
Didn't he
Like
drown in his hot tub
his
or his
pool.
swimming pool? In his pool.
Yeah,
Okay.
his pool.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
said that. Yeah. Yeah,
Anyways,
such a funny guy. Like just so
I thought
self-effacing.
he was great. He had great timing, great actor,
Yeah.
and was really funny.
He and Matt
Aside from
LeBlanc had a great bromance on that
dude,
show.
we all
Yeah.
have demons. Some people have more than others. You
Yeah.
know.
It's very sad.
My next one I want to bring on is one of my favorite. He went to Kitsilano High or high
Oh, I know
school.
the one. It's on my list.
Yes, Ryan Reynolds,
There you go, Deadpool.
and best known for portraying the fast talking anti-hero in Deadpool. Reynolds is adept in action-packed roles, and is also his comedy and his timing. His career boasts many diverse roles and charming love interest in The Proposal, Haunted Father, and I mean, it just goes on. The guy's just on fire. He
And
bought a
as you
soccer
mentioned, he graduated from our high school in 1980.
Kitsilano High.
Carolina High. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. He's a
Who lose their
kitsy.
minds when they tell them that? You
That's
went to the same high
awesome.
school as Deadpool. That's so cool.
And you mentioned Keanu Reeves already. I'm gonna go with my favorite. It's not like I condone somebody that is a prolific pothead, if you
Mm.
will. But Seth Rogen
Okay.
is my favorite. If there was anyone that is someone, I mean, Seth literally wakes up in the morning and smokes all day, all night, and he says he needs it.
If you're a
Um,
functioning human being, I guess it's fine. Different
Well,
strokes.
I mean,
Whatever
it's
works.
legal, but not in LA, I don't think. But anyways, I just he has an incredible voice. He's a prolific writer. I love writers, as you know.
Mhm.
I love my man Johnny. He's a
Me
great
too.
writer,
I love writers too.
and Seth Rogen's a very talented actor from Vancouver.
Oh,
Um,
I did not know that.
yeah, he's from Vancouver, and his comedic skills and he's got his own company. He's just hilarious.
Mm.
And I just had to mention him because he's my favorite pothead actor, if there's such a thing. Maybe there's a category there. I don't know. Maybe they all are. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in LA. But honorable mention, though, if you don't mind, I want to talk
Sure.
about
Right
guys
on.
that I've, as a struggling actor in Vancouver, I hung out with all these guys. I knew all these guys. I played basketball with almost all of them. Actually, every single one of these guys except Barry Pepper. I never played basketball with Barry Pepper. I'll start off with Barry Pepper. Barry Pepper was indigenous actor that I went to different acting schools. He always seemed to be in the same class, and he
Oh,
had
really?
long hair. He had long hair right down to his butt, and but blonde, long hair, and he was
Mm,
indigenous, and you'd never know because he had blue eyes. He looked like he was Icelandic or something.
mm.
But a great actor. He's been in a lot of really good films. Band of Brothers. He was a sniper that got whacked at the end. He's been in tons of stuff, and I had to bring him up. And Tom Cavanaugh played basketball with. Tom
Oh,
Cavanaugh's had a
right.
very he's had a
He
very
was on The Flash. I watched the
yes.
first season of that show back in the
He's
day.
been on quite a bit of stuff. He's had a
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
successful career in
Great.
Canada.
Yeah.
The third one I mentioned is an old friend of mine, David Cubitt, who's still working. Very handsome guy, a great name, and played basketball against him when he was at U Hill with Jonathan Brown. Our
Mm.
last interview in episode 23, they were at U Hill. And great athlete, 40-inch vertical, and he's still working. He's still doing well. He still looks great. Guy's 60 years old, and
Wow.
he looks exactly like he did, kind of like us, but in our own way.
Yeah.
And he's working. But the main guy I have to give the number one is a guy named Paul Johansson. Have you ever heard of Paul Johansson?
No.
Paul Johansson is a chap that I
Related
played
to
again
Scarlet?
basketball. I'll tell you, he played basketball against him, and with the Canadian. The last time we were teammates, he had a great career at UBC, and he was trying to play professional basketball in Europe, but he was at the same modeling and acting agency that myself. We were at Richards. Modeling and acting agency, and he went for a Canadian beer commercial, and it just exploded,
Wow.
absolutely exploded. And I went on to play professional basketball in Europe and didn't explode in acting so much so. But
Well,
life goes.
you lived one of your dreams, Paul.
Yeah, no doubt. But anyways, Paul
One
Johansson
step
is
in there.
is a very talented dude, best known for his acting in One Tree Hill. I know you don't watch cable, but it was a very popular American
Heard of it.
show.
Family drama?
Yeah, family drama, teenage thing, and he
Mm,
played he played the character Dan Scott, very popular. One Tree Hill, I think, went for 6, 7 years,
mm,
seasons. He also did a Highlander spin-off series you might know called The Raven, where he was, and he also did this thing where he was a vampire, and it was really cool. But he's best known. I think it's best if Paul would ever hear this, he'd be most proud for me to remember that he was also a director, actor, producer, and writer. And he had a TV film that he directed, produced, acted in, and brought in another famous Canadian actress.
mm,
We didn't mention too many Canadian actresses. You did.
mm.
Gina Rowlands, old
Oh,
school.
sure.
And the film was what's the name of the film? Can't remember the name. God, I should have written that down.
Debbie
He
Does
wrote.
Dallas. No?
Oh, good, no,
Sorry.
Lord. Anyways, Paul Johansson, I give all of those guys, David Cubitt, Barry Pepper, Canadian. Johnny, it's been a great episode. When he said it, I
Oh,
was like, oh, God, we're going to have some fun. Oh, is it pun time?
it's pun time. I just want to give a shout out to one more actor on my list, Michael Ironside, who played
Thank
Hans.
you. I was going to bring him up, but I
Yeah.
thought about Paul.
He um he was in Top Gun. He was incredible Scanners, David Cronenberg Scanners,
He's been in
and
over 500 films,
yeah,
eh?
he's just a really compelling actor. He's got a great face, very compelling, kind of stern-looking face, kind of gruff, like you don't want to mess with this guy. But you really
His
kind
scar
of-
is very
yeah,
prominent. He's got a
yeah.
70-inch scar on his face.
And he played CIA agent Ham Tyler on V back in the day. And
What hasn't he played in?
he and Mark Singer, another whom I mentioned before, had a
Yeah.
great big brother little brother kind of relationship on the show. Okay, here we go with a pun.
Hey,
A pun.
before you say that,
I
and
have a pun.
I'm glad you brought it up because he's also the scar on his face and everything was due to the fact that he used to be a big drinker. And
Uh,
I played golf with him.
no way. Who
Yeah,
haven't you played golf and or basketball with?
oh, I mean, I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of really cool
Wow.
people. But my
Holy
cousin
moly.
Sean and I were golfing, and my cousin Sean's been in the program for I don't know a long time. Like I don't even know what the number is, but
Is
30
this a private
years.
investigator?
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, you mentioned it.
I'm gonna be doing an interview with him
Good.
on the private investigation industry security, and because I didn't tell you about this, but I'm planning it,
Yeah.
and
No,
he's
I'm
in.
excited for that. Yeah.
Oh, he's in. And anyways, we're golfing,
Thank you.
and Ironside joins us, And I knew that Michael Ironside is Sean Cote's, my cousin's uh, mentor with
Hmm.
the program. What do you call it? Not a mentor. The guy that I don't know what's the word, with
My
AA.
big brother.
No, it's
No.
like an AA mentor.
Oh,
Like you have.
sponsor. Sponsor.
Thank you, thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Genius.
Yeah, I mean, and so Sean's been very happy to have him as a mentor and sponsor for the better part of 30 years, and he's just as intense in person as he is on
Mhm.
the screen. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I
Good
actually
choice, though.
I saw him very briefly when I lived in the West End. I walked by him and I said hi to him, and he kind of like no.
Yeah, no,
I
he doesn't.
respect that. I get
No,
it.
he
It's
doesn't. He's just
I mean, some
he's
fans
a
don't
gruff
appreciate
guy. He speaks on the golf course. Some guys are slow, and he just walked up to me and said, "Could you fucking hurry up a little bit?"
Paul.
Oh, pardon me. I'm just telling you what he said.
Frickin'. He said frickin', just to
No,
clarify.
he actually
Powerful,
swore. It
powerful.
was true. It was great, and I loved it. I started laughing, and he said, "What do you?" And he looks at me and he goes, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "Oh, I like nothing."
Yeah. I'm not laughing at you, Mr. Ironside. I'm a big fan.
No, not at all. No, because but a true story. And anyways, Johnny, great
Okay.
episode.
Yeah. I do have a pun before we go.
Oh,
You
please,
ready for that?
please do.
All right. And I have a book. Did you bring a book? I have a book.
I
Okay,
do.
here we
I
go.
do.
Here we go with
Wait,
the pun.
wait. Let me grab
Okay,
my.
first to the book.
Okay.
I just
No.
started the series, Billy Boyle. The author's name is James R. Ben. And I posted a couple of pictures of myself holding his book on his Facebook page, and he did respond to me. This is a melding of two of my favorite genres. The main character is a private detective, and it takes place during World War II. There's like 20 of these books, and I intend to read all of them. Great
Yeah,
series.
you love that genre, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, I like stories about heroes and villains. And that's
Yeah,
what I'm
me too.
writing.
Me
That's the
too.
world that I want to live in. Okay, here we go. A
Well,
pun. Oh, you want to do
my
the book?
book,
Okay, okay, okay.
if you don't
All right.
mind.
No, no, it's fine. Be my guest. Basketball? Wow. Now that's a plot twist right out of the Twilight Zone.
Look at the date. Look at the date.
Is that you? Is that you?
No, no,
Okay.
I'm not. The
1998.
Caucasian guy is 6'9",
Uh,
and the non-Caucasian guy with the team that I used to play with, the Birmingham Bullets, is about 6'6". This is 1998, 1999. This was my last season as a professional basketball player, and this is the. I'm actually in this book
let's
statistically.
see. Do
Um.
you want Patreon?
Oh
Is
no,
there a picture of you?
it's all stats. And by the way, the stats were. Oh, maybe there's a photo in here. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It was a long time ago, Johnny. I just want to bring it up because I was opening it, I was looking, and I was looking at my stats, and I was like, those stats aren't correct. I took my own
Okay,
stats. They were correct.
of course.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's terrific. Well, you've
Yeah.
certainly made a huge impact on the world. Okay, here we go with the pun, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, drum roll, please. A
Oh,
pun.
wait. Oh, what? We got to do a drum roll.
Okay, let's do that.
You ready? Crowd
I'm ready,
applause,
ready.
air
Like
horn,
Marina,
drum roll. What do you want?
like Jack Burton. Drum roll would be fine. A pun walks into a bar and kills 10 people. Pun in, 10 dead. Thank you. Make a laugh.
Oh, that's so funny. Anyways, everybody, thank you for joining Paul and Johnny's weird
Thank you.
journey into the Canadian Bro Show, all things Canadian.
We like to think we're not boring at the bare minimum. Bare
No,
minimum.
I
Easiest thing to
that we're
say.
definitely not boring, and
Absolutely.
we enjoy what we're doing. I hope you do, and if you do, please subscribe. That would be awesome. We need only 472 more subscriptions. So anything you can do would be great. One at a time is
Mm.
better than none. You know what I'm saying? In the meantime, episode 24. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show. This is the first iteration. All things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny.
Thank you
My
so much.
co-host of the Canadian Bro Show is my old friend and very talented writer. And
Oh,
John Leister, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better co-host. He's just
living
incredible.
legend.
And my other co-host I got to talk about is Trent Rowley with the second iteration of the Canadian Bro Show, and that is all basketball from the Hoop Junkies, Pauly and Rowley. And the third iteration coming soon. I've been saying it for a while, but it takes a while. is going to be all Canadian real estate with Paul Bale and guests. And in the
Land
meantime,
sakes.
sorry?
Sorry, I said land sakes. Never mind. You can
Yeah,
edit
it's
that out.
okay. Yeah.
Crash.
He's usually pretty funny, like 9 out of 10 times.
Well,
Every once in a while they
you can't
fail.
always hit a home run when you walk up to the plate. They can't always be slam dunks.
Yeah, and there's not much room behind me. I'm in 25 square feet. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us, the
Thank you.
Canadian Bro Show. Next Sunday, we film on Sundays. Will be episode 25. And Johnny, I will see you in a few days to
Awesome.
celebrate my 60th birthday.
60s and you 25.
Good Lord, man. And I
Cheers.
hope it doesn't get too ugly. Because Johnny, once a year we just kind of let our hair down,
Hairs.
whatever hair we have left.
Hairs in my case. You have a lot more than I do. That's for sure. Well,
Well,
I have more hair on my face than
you
you do.
you didn't notice my new cut. I went back to the army cut.
That's cool.
My wife thinks I look better, and I left facial hair on the bottom part to give a little accentuation on the shade and shower and the light and everything else. Shut up. Let us go. Anyways, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're out, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Peace, love, and happiness. Happy New Year 2000.